Well, welcome back, you guys. It was good to hear both of your stories in the last few sessions. And like I said last time, I can totally see why there are struggles in the marriage, given what your family systems were like. And even I relate to what both of your families were like, because this stuff is actually more common than we think. Can you guys remind me, did we go over the 1, 2, 3 handout last time? Okay, well, great. Maybe today we can go over a stuck place or a bump that keeps coming up between the two of you. Good. That's what I wanted from today, because something definitely did come up for us, and I'm still really angry about it, and I'm kind of at the end of my rope about it. Well, sure. Well, why don't one of you tell me what happened, and then the other will talk about how they saw it?
You want to just go?
Okay. Well, this is an ongoing issue that Brian has with honesty, and I can't stand being lied to, and it's really going to stop today. If he thinks I'm dumb and I won't notice that money just disappears, I can feel myself getting enraged as I'm talking about it. Well, okay. Well, I understand that this sounds really big, and it would probably be great for you guys to get some help about it. Could you maybe focus, though, on giving me the timeline or the chain of events that happened? Like Tuesday, we texted about money. I had a reaction. We got into a fight about it. In the morning, it still was there. Sure. Okay, well, it actually was texting. Brian texted me on Monday about our daughter's senior trip cost, where he left out a major detail about her needing spending money. I assumed she would need some, but I had no idea it would be that high. And I felt that Brian was lying to me about it the whole time, because he has issues with being honest with me. After like 2 hours, when he finally did respond to me, it became a text battle. And then that was 2 days ago, and I haven't been able to look at him since. And I'm actually getting sick of this too, because it's ridiculous about being accused about embezzling from my own husband. How do I know that you're not when you act so sketchy with me? Hang on guys, hang on. Look, I still want to try to understand more. When we all first met, did you guys tell me that Jim, you work full-time, and then Brian, you work part-time, but you do most of the background stuff with the kids? Is that right? Yeah, that's how it works. We both actively parent, but I do most of the kids' scheduling and needs and stuff. Okay, got it. Jim, well, now I know your side of the upset, but Brian, how about you tell me how you see this issue when it comes up? To be honest, I don't really want to, because if we get into it, he shuts me down and about whatever I say, and I can't talk. Then he's convinced I'm hiding money. Forget it. Like, I've tried this so many times, it always ends up in the same place, like I'm a criminal. Look, I got it. Like, I know it's a huge issue between the two of you, but can you try to give me the chain of events from how you see it? Okay. I didn't tell him Monday about our daughter Cassie's spending money, because if I tell him up front about it, he accuses me of hiding that info. And if I soften the blow about it and wait till later, he accuses me about hiding that info. Cassie told me very late. She's 17. And she's allowed to be 17, and I'm just the messenger in this. I didn't tell him about how much he needed to the last minute, because I'd be in trouble anyway. Then he unloaded on me in text after seeing the money go down in the joint account. then I'm triggered and I like can't respond to you, then I have to wait for you to decide to not hate me so much. You left out your attitude towards me. Do you have any idea how obnoxious it is to get those texts from you that are like, you're going to be mad at me, so anyway, so what's the point? Hang on, guys. Look, I know that this sucks and you're both having really big feelings about it, but this is helpful for me to get the big picture. Jim, can I ask you like what the emotional charge is about the money? Is it about lack of money or fairness somehow? No, it's none of that. We make enough money, I just can't stand being ignored when I have a valid question about the money. This is what I'm talking about! That look! Total disrespect! I get ignored and shut out from being included in what we do with our money for our kids. It's all like smoke and mirrors, and I'm treated like I'm a scary, angry dad. You know, I seen him and Cassie colluding behind my back about you name it. Sneakers, expensive apps, a headphone set. Christ, I was the last one to know what her soccer fees were. Do you have any idea how hurtful that is? This is why we can't. This is why what? Why you can't, like, say that you're dishonest, or why you play games, or why you think I'm selfish about this stuff? Come on! Do you know how many times I've thought about just shutting down the joint and just Venmoing you so I don't have to deal with this crap? There he goes. Now he's pretending that I'm violent and he can't handle me. You know, whenever I ask questions about the kids, whenever I have to adjust plans on my end, I'm sick of being treated like I'm some controlling rager when I just want to be included. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's take it down a bit, Jim. Jim, are you aware of how big you just got? I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's okay. Let's just take a minute. You guys are really stuck in Trigger City. And Brian, how are you doing right now? What? I think you shut down there when Jim was yelling at you. You know, let's have you both chill out and just come back to the room. Neither of you are in trouble. You guys just really got triggered by each other and it's fixable. Let's just take a minute and we'll sort of calm down and breathe. I think you guys are just caught up in getting triggered, and the childhood trauma well gets just thrown on each other. All that stuff usually goes right on our partners. So let's do a 1, 2, 3 and I'll walk you through it. I know it's hard, but we have to nail the childhood issue for both of you first, because that's what's mucking up the present stuff.
Okay.
Okay. So in the first part of the 1, 2, 3, if you remember, you both talk about what the trigger takes you back to in childhood, and the other one listens and holds the toxic parents accountable. I'll help. Brian, can I get you to go first?
What am I doing?
Can you think about what the fight with Jim takes you back to in childhood? You know, I kind of see it like, it feels like you're in this position where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't about the money stuff.
Yeah.
I'll help you if you get stuck.
I don't know. The only thing I can think of is when my mother would scream at me all the time.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Can you maybe come up with a specific memory or something concrete about that?
I'm just kind of going blank.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. How about I help? You know, when you told me your story, you mentioned that you were the oldest and you had to be like a parent for your younger brothers. And you also had to protect them from your parents because they would get abusive about stuff.
Right. Well,
My mom was never home, and Dad was gone anyways. But when my mom would come home, she'd scream at me for not knowing my younger brother's homework assignments, or that I was supposed to walk them to their Cub Scout meetings and be there for the meeting, but I'd forget. Wow, good example. Jim, what comes to mind? His mother Kay is still like that, and I can't stand her. We've talked a lot about what it was like for him. She's this type of person that think that people are there to serve her. How old were you, honey? I don't know. I think I was like 11, and when my brothers would need something, I was the only one that could make it happen for them, so I'd have to ask my parents for what my brothers needed, and they'd both lose it on me, like I was like the bad employee. Like the worst time my mother lost it on me, I was in high school, and I still remember this. Like, I told her my younger brother needed supplies for a science project, and I think I was like 17, which would have made him like 12. And my mother kept throwing plates against the wall near me about me not telling her sooner. And she ran out of plates, but she kept berating me, and I just had to wait until she like exhausted herself. Oh, that's horrific. Jim, what is it like to hear that? I don't know how he got through it. Like, she's literally like the mommy dearest mother. She's a nightmare, even to this day. And it's funny, his brothers, who are adults now, they still need to go through Brian in order to communicate with the mother. It's like, to me, it's like Brian's like the safe human resources person in a toxic company, and he like runs coverage for everybody. Wow. Brian, that's a really powerful example. I can't imagine what it would have been like to have been so young and in that position. Like, you had to sacrifice so much for your brothers about what they needed. Kids have to leave their body when they're treated like that. And that's maybe why you shut down. Well, Jim, now can you do the same? Can you maybe tell us what it takes you back to in childhood? I just really want to say to Brian that I'm sorry. And that I hate your mother. Right, well, good. Hold on to that, fixing and repairing, because we're going to do that in the third part. But what does the money piece take you back to? Well, as Brian was talking, like, these memories just totally came back to me a second ago. We grew up poor, but not because we had to be. Like, my parents were terrible with money and about decision making about money, and they spent it the minute they had it. VCRs, clothes, vacations, dinners. And my grandmother, knowing how irresponsible they were, she gave money to my sister and I, but we never had any control over it and never saw it. Like, on one hand, the electricity would be shut off, and the other hand, my dad would come home with a new toy for himself. In high school, I found these bank statements from my grandmother's deposits, and she had been giving us money every month since we were toddlers, but we never saw it. Like, we never had the money for camp. We always got school clothes late, and my sister and I knew when the bills were due, and we would try to tell them, but they wouldn't listen. And our parents kept telling us that the money was being put into a savings account, but she and I knew where it was going. Wow. Brian, what do you think about that? His mother is the most sketchy, materialistic person I know, and his dad too. Like, they still try to borrow money from Jim, but they never say what it's for. And it broke my heart when he told me about those bank statements. I knew about that. I'm also having a memory right now that I used to start cornering my parents about their spending. I think I was like in high school, and I started standing up to them. And it always came up when I needed some money, and I'd confront them. But my parents would just ignore me when I would be screaming at them, and eventually they would just like walk out of the room or take a drive together because they couldn't like handle me. I've seen them do that to him. They do this like superior, that's none of your business vibe about what they want the money for. And then they come off like he's too much if he has a reaction. Whoa, that's infuriating. Jim, of course your kid, at the time, or you try to get them to come clean, kids get stuck with all that rage and anger, and then they get dismissed and shamed like that. Also, they were liars, thinking that you were the problem, though.
Yeah.
So excellent. So that's the first part of the 1, 2, 3, and you both did great. I think there's a good heart connection about what happened to both of you, and we'll move on. So the second part of the 1, 2, 3 is about getting the projection off of each other, because it's really clear to me that you both become each other's parents in this. Part 2 is you say how you're each different from the toxic parent you get triggered to. We're trying to totally take off our stuff off of our partner. Can I go? Sure. Well, you're obviously not as bad as my mom and dad because you're such a great father to the kids. Well, what I say, was that bad? No, it wasn't bad, but you said Brian's not as bad, which implies that he's still sketchy. Sorry. You're nothing like my dad because you're the opposite. You're just trying to work with me on getting the kids' needs met and not hiding things for yourself. I'm really sorry. Good. You just totally took the projection off of him. And also, Jim, would your parents ever do something as intimate as therapy that Brian's doing with you? Oh God, no. They think therapy is for losers and they feel like they don't need it. And I really appreciate that you do this with me and you try to fix this with me. Excellent. Brian, how is Jim different? Well, he's nothing like my parents because he's here and he's just asking about our spending. And you're just asking because you're always trying to make sure the kids and I have what we need. You're totally different because I think our parents hated us for having needs, and your main focus is getting me what I need. Good. You guys are hands down really good at this. Really good at this. Now the third part. We go back to the present issue and look at each other right now and say what you specifically need to get over the bump about money, and also pulling out what you can own. Can I go first? Yeah. Yeah. Well, should I own something? Okay, just go. I'll own that I do act disrespectfully about you and just asking, and then I shut down. And it probably feels like I'm ignoring you when I'm not present, and I leave the conversation, and that's probably really annoying. And what I need, though, is I need to not be accused about lying or being sketchy when I'm just triggered. Right. Yep. I totally know what you mean, and I can do that. I am way too all over you about this stuff. Really good, you guys. You know, I want to frame it like this. Jim, Brian is needing you to keep your inner child from putting his stuff on from mom and dad on to Brian in the present. And he's owning how his kid runs him. I can definitely own that. And I'm sorry I've accused you of dishonesty and I accused you for putting you on the spot like that. Whoa, that is advanced what you just said. A++. Our inner children, they do put our partners on the spot with that like accusatory stuff. In our inner child, put our partners in like a no-win. But you were right to do that with your parents, Jim. Mm-hmm. But it just doesn't belong to Brian. Can I add that, babe? Cassie's spending money really wasn't that much more. Yeah, you know, my kid was just looking for evidence that you're sketchy. I'm sorry. Can I go? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I need I need for you to not see me as scary when I'm just asking about something. And I want it to just be easy and safe for us both to talk about it without all the extra stuff that happens. I can totally do that, and I know what you mean. Like when you ask, my kid is like, here we go again, how long is this going to take? Which was totally what it was like with my parents, but that's not fair to you. Amazing. Congrats! You did a successful 1, 2, 3. Just FYI, guys, this is going to keep coming up between the two of you. And it's actually a continued opportunity to rebuild trust with each other. But the 1, 2, 3 thing is not like a one and done. You keep practicing it at home on smaller things. The car, the dishes, like whatever. Couples usually try to do one once a week to get into the habit of doing it. And in that way, you're in a much better position to handle the bigger stuff that comes up, and you can do one then too. Your inner children are also going to need ongoing reparenting in order to help them see the trust take root. These children have never seen trust build before, or they've never seen people make good on things, and they just don't believe in it. So, like when it comes up the money piece, Brian, you remind yourself that he's just asking. It's a normal communication thing. You're not in trouble. And Jim, like when it comes up, you have to remind your inner child that Brian isn't hiding anything from you. He's not being sketchy. And also, Brian, when it comes up, you have to remind yourself that you're not in trouble with Jim. Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. You guys did amazing, and I will see you guys next week.